Hey everybody, welcome to Facebook Live. I'm Jacinta Lester. I am Manager of Admissions for Special Populations. Of course, we're missing our friend Jordan Stevens, but we're going to shout him out. One day we will be together again, but today I have some awesome friends with me. They're going to introduce themselves, tell you a little bit more about the program that they're a part of. And so I'm going to hand it off to them and let them introduce themselves, and then we'll do some news from the nest.
Hi, I'm Serenity Hill. I am a junior here at Kennesaw State University. I'm an English major with a minor in professional writing, and I'm currently part of the Thrive program.
Hi, I'm Katie Barrington, and I am alumni of Kennesaw. I graduated back in December 2017. I was involved in the Thrive program as well and come back and volunteer regularly, so that's why they asked me to come back.
Awesome. So we're going to get a little bit more into Thrive, what Thrive is, all the good stuff, and just kind of your experience, not only as a Thriver, but also as a KSU student, ensuring your black and gold pride. So let's start with some news from the nest. I've got a few things to go off of, so you always know I'm always looking at my sheet of paper as my cheat sheet, but that's okay. But some news from the nest. So deadlines, things that are coming. June 1st, which was Monday, was our deadline for our transfer freshmen and our freshman students to submit their applications for fall 2020. So that has passed for students to apply to KSU for fall 2020 as a traditional student. But if you have been accepted, but wait, you're missing some documents, just know you have until June 15th for you to submit high school transcript, maybe an updated college transcript. You still have time to get those documents into KSU, so that way we can process you for the fall. And one thing I want to share is that this year we have reached a record number of applications for our first year students for fall 2020. So we're really thankful and excited for students who are deciding to choose KSU as their home for the next 4 years or 5 years. Maybe you're an architecture major. We want you guys to feel at home as a KSU student. We want you to be an OWL with us, thrive with us, be an honor student with us. There's so many things for you to be involved in, so we're glad that you chose Kennesaw State as that school. So with that being said, we still have other student types that still have time to apply. We have our transfer students and transient students. We have our adult learner students. Your deadline to apply for fall is going to be June 12th. So you will submit your application online. You can go to admissions.kennesaw.edu, and then your deadline to submit your college transcripts from the institutions that you previously attended, you have until June 26th. So all of those deadlines are posted on our website, but one thing I always encourage students to do is you don't want to wait until those deadlines to turn in things. You want to go ahead, if you know that you've met admission requirements, KSU is your home, this is where you want to be for the next few years, then go ahead and submit those documents. Don't wait until the deadlines, but they're there for a reason. We want you guys to get those in as soon as possible. We know that it's been kind of a hard time right now to get documents in, so we are working with you guys, but just make sure that you can get your documents in as soon as possible. So those are some deadlines for you guys. If you are interested in seeing the campus, campus tours are virtual for us right now. We have this really awesome new virtual experience. So you can go online, visit our virtual experience, see all the things that KSU has to offer from a digital side. And then once we open back up as an institution, then we want you to experience Kennesaw in real life. So you'll be able to tour the campus later on, and we'll let students know more about that in the future. But choose that virtual experience. You'll get to see our Kennesaw campus, you'll get to see our Marietta campus, all the things that we have to offer. If you are a new student with us, maybe didn't get to come on a campus tour before you decided to come to KSU because you had that much faith in us, make sure you look at that virtual tour. So that way you can kind of see what our buildings look like, what maybe your classroom will look like. Did you guys do tours when you were a student or before you became a student?
For me, I had a friend who was already here and I had stayed with her, but I hadn't actually been on the actual campus. I had been in the housing, but for me, my experience with them and just the people at Kennesaw, I went ahead and applied because I felt like it was home for me. I didn't actually take an actual tour.
Awesome, okay, that's good.
My older brother went here, so he gave me an unofficial tour.
Yeah.
And same thing. I knew that was where I wanted to be. So
awesome. See, just want to be here because we are that great. We're that awesome. And then for my students who have been accepted to KSU for fall of 2020, make sure that you're following those next steps. So all of this will be on our website, but if you need to know exactly where that will be, on the admissions website, to your left, there's a section that says next steps, and we can drop that into the chat, but you can look at those next steps. So make sure that you sign up for orientation, which is really happening right now. So we want you guys to sign up for orientation. Make sure that you are filing your FAFSA. That's important. Those are some next steps. If you need to talk to an advisor before you do orientation, go and see your advisor for your major, or maybe you are still in that exploratory phase for your major and what you want to do. Make sure that you do all of those things. So make sure you're following those next steps. Submit immunization records, submit your lawful presence if you haven't done those things already. But check your status, go online, look at our next steps, and make sure that you've checked off the boxes for the things that you need to do, so that when it comes time to come on campus or for you to start classes, you are ready for fall of 2020. The other thing I want to mention is your FAFSA. If you have not filed your FAFSA, we have financial aid in the comments that can answer any of those questions for you, but make sure that you do that. If you have questions about that, you can always talk to our financial aid counselors, that you're assigned to them based on your last name. And the other great thing is if you go onto financialaid.kennesaw.edu, it will link you straight to the FAFSA. So you don't have to go and Google it. It's actually right there. You can link it off of our financial aid page. And then the last thing I want to mention from News from the Nest is orientation has already started. It started last week. It's going really well. We're doing a virtual orientation over the summer. Traditionally, orientation is hosted on campus, but our orientation director, Donald, and his team, he's been on here a few times, so you guys have seen him. He is rocking and rolling with the virtual orientations, and they're doing such a great job. So if you have not signed up for orientation and you want to make sure that you get that full experience, especially as a freshman, we're doing everything to make that virtual orientation feel real, feel exciting, to get you pumped and ready for the fall semester. So that is my news from the nest. It's a lot of information that I had to say. So we're going to get started with just talking about Thrive. What is Thrive? And our two guests here are going to be amazing and tell us all of that. And also, if you have questions for Katie or Serenity, please feel free to leave them in the chat. Meredith's in the background typing away, as well as going to be asking some questions for us. So we are ready for those. All right, so ready to talk to you guys about Thrive. Can Katie or Serenity, either one, can you tell me what is Thrive for Kennesaw State students?
You can start.
Yeah, so looking back about 10 years ago, there was a lot of research coming out showing how 50% of students who came into college with hope were losing it in the first year. And that wasn't just at KSU, it was at schools everywhere. And KSU did a really good job of finding this research and following it and deciding to do something about it. So they implemented the program of Thrive simply to target those first-year students to figure out what they could do to help them keep hope and also keep on that progression to graduate within the 4 years. So for the people, like whether it's parents or faculty or just schools in general, that's a really big thing for them to follow is the graduation rate. Parents, because hope gives you a lot of support financially, so losing that in the first year can kind of hold you back in a lot of areas. But Thrive specifically is focused on those two things, and it does that by connecting students to the community, to the campus, and then providing them with key academic strategies. And that's I guess the textbook kind of version.
Answer. What made you decide I want to be a part of Thrive?
For me, originally I didn't even know what it was. Thrive had sent out a pamphlet to my house or whatever. My mom was like, "Hey, you should look into this," because personally, me, I was super scared going into my first year because I was like, I'm the only one going here. All my friends are going different places across the country. I felt like I was going to be alone. And Thrive has these amazing grad coaches who help you and guide you throughout all 4 years. And for me, I felt like I just needed that support, and that's what I was looking for. So that's how I found out about Thrive and got into Thrive and what made me stay. And I also found like a connection of friends, which also felt really good going into my first year, knowing I had people who had my back already.
That's awesome. What about you, Katie?
It was definitely my mom found it first, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I just want to get accustomed to the school. Like, I don't want to join things right off the bat. But once I went to the information sessions and learned more about it, there's just a lot of benefits, and they have a lot of summer programs that let you come onto campus. You get to see more of the campus if you didn't go to those tours, or maybe if you just want a little more exposure. You got to meet some of your faculty before the semester even started. So it just seemed like I was going to feel more comfortable if I started this program because it was going to introduce me to things sooner than I would if I didn't join.
Awesome. It's really cool. So basically, make sure you get ahead of mom and dad, so that way you're like, this is the program for me, mom and dad. Look and see what I'm going to be a part of over the 100%. Summer. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about how, as a student, can you get involved in Thrive? So maybe your parents didn't get the pamphlet, maybe it just came in the mail or whatever, but how can you get involved in Thrive as a student?
Thrive has applications that are open, and they will remain open until August 1st, 2020, and basically you apply, and when you're accepted, you'll get all the information. They're doing virtual things to help students. When you get onto campus, we have different events and programs that you can get into. I know we have like the senior leadership team. We have an RSO on campus called Thrive Connect, which helps connect students even more and and not really lax, but not as, you're not necessarily meeting with your grad coach, you're meeting with more students, more face-to-face. Not to say it's more comfortable because Thrive is comfortable, but yeah. So those are things that are like currently happening. So I guess just apply and then make sure you follow through and send in all your paperwork and everything.
Yeah, so it's specifically targeted as high school seniors who just graduated, anyone who's coming to college in the fall. Kind of going into the eligibility part of that. As long as you have Hope Scholarship, things might be kind of pushed back given the whole circumstances of everything, but all they have to do is have that Georgia Futures screenshot showing that they're either going to get Hope or they have already been approved for it. And they have to be a full-time student, which is 12 credit hours for those of y'all who are not familiar with that. So it's pretty simple. We say application, but really as long as you fill everything out, you get it in time before everything fills up, you should most likely get in. And there's 50 spots left. We have 150 students that we're looking to accept for next year.
Perfect.
So.
Is there like an essay requirement for a student to be a part of Thrive to kind of determine that eligibility, or is it just that you have to be a Hope recipient?
I know previously there's a short answer portion, like they want to know what kind of person you are, but not necessarily like you have to submit 500 words. Like it's a short question, short answer. They just want to get to know you and make sure that you fit them and they fit you.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. And you said there's 150 students who are admitted into the program each year, or does that fluctuate depending on how many applications that possibly get? And that may be a Shay question, but and Shay is over our Thrive program for those who don't know. So Shay Smith, so you can always reach out to her too, and we'll give contact information and link that into our comments. But right now there's about 150 that'll probably be a part.
Yes. So in years past, it's kind of fluctuated just depending on the amount of resources that the program has been given, and then just how many students are applying each year. A couple years back, they kind of limited their numbers because they wanted to give more to the students that were coming in and not just have a mass amount of students that they couldn't provide one-on-one support to, because it really is kind of an individual focused program as well as a community-based program. And like Sereni was saying with the grad coaches, it also depends on how many grad coaches they have to meet with all the students just to make sure they don't overwhelm the numbers. But 150 is the number for this year.
Number for this year. Awesome. Yes. Do we have a
All
question?
right, we've got some questions, but Jacinta,
All right.
they are for you.
Okay, I'm
because
ready.
it's dual enrollment. So it's almost like Erica, who was chatting in here, knew that you're going to be here today and that you're
Yes.
over dual enrollment.
Erica, I'm ready.
Okay, so we've got two questions from Erica currently, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
where can I find what dual enrollment credits will be accepted? And this might also go for transfer students too.
Right. So, Erica, if you are a dual enrollment student, you previously were dual enrolled at another institution, and you need to see what classes are going to transfer to KSU. On our transfer website, we have a database and it says what transfers. And what you'll do is you will find the state that you did your dual enrollment or you took college classes at, and then you will find the institution, so that's school. So what you'll do from there is you will pick and choose those classes, and it'll show you how that articulates or transfers over to KSU. So we have what's called a transfer articulation and how that course will come over for you.
Fantastic. Okay, this is a real question that a lot of dual enrollment students ask. So when I'm applying to Kennesaw, am I a new student or am I a transfer student if I am doing dual enrollment classes?
So if you are coming over to Kennesaw, if you are a new student to dual enrollment, so you did dual enrollment with KSU and then you're going to continue, we will still consider you a freshman. If you were previously dual enrolled, you graduated from high school, you started another institution and then came to KSU, then you're considered a transfer freshman because you have already graduated from high school. But if you did dual enrollment while you were still in high school and now you're coming to KSU, then you are considered a freshman because dual enrollment credits are just another way for you to take a more challenging, more rigorous course while still in high school. So there's kind of three parts to that. There's students who are traditional dual enrollment students here at KSU and they are going to graduate and move into a traditional freshman student. There are students who are at high school going to another school as dual enrollment. You will still also be considered a freshman when you apply to KSU with college level credits. But then we have those students who graduated high school, attended another institution, and now coming to KSU. Those students are considered transfer freshmen. So there is kind of a difference there.
Great. Okay, so we have an orientation question. We're
All
part of
right.
orientation. If y'all want to pop in and just talk about your orientation experience, these current students right now are getting a little different experience, but it's going really well, and they can still stay in their pajamas, so that's pretty fun. But explain to me when I attend orientation. So for example, if I start school in August, when do I attend orientation? If I start school in the spring, which would be January time, when do I go to orientation?
So if you are an incoming freshman for fall 2020, you will sign up for the next available orientation date. So to figure out what dates are available for orientation, you will need to log into your AlExpress account. That is how students sign up for orientation. So whether it was in person, like these students did when they were coming in, or whether you are doing the virtual orientations that we're offering now, it'll all be in your AlExpress account. So you'll need your NetID, you'll need your password to log into your AlExpress account, and you will go to Student Services, and there will be a tab for orientation. Depending on your major, those are the dates that will be available. So if you are a Kennesaw campus major, so you are either a psychology major, English major, business major like myself when I was in college, you would be here on the Kennesaw campus. If you are architecture, engineering, computer science, then you will be at the Marietta campus, and it'll only show orientations for those dates. So it will show only those specific dates that are still available with seats for students who want to do the orientation for fall. If you are coming for the spring orientations, then when those open up, because they're not open yet for students who are coming for the spring, we'll have those dates later in the year. Those are typically in November, December for spring students. Then you will do the same thing. You'll log into your AlExpress account, and then you will choose the date and the major that you're on in that AlExpress account. So just know there is that difference when you're signing up for orientations. But you guys can maybe talk a little bit about your experience at orientation. This group of students, they're going into a virtual orientation. Donald and his team have been really good at making it like exciting and fun. But you guys may have had a different experience, of course, with your orientation.
No, I loved orientation. We started our day super early. I loved orientation because, again, I felt like I was meeting the people I was going to be going to school with for all 4 years. I was going to be graduating with them. It was the first time I had ever been been on campus. It was the first time I'd ever been on campus, and it was the first time I had seen, it really puts it like on a grand scale how many people really are in college with you.
Yeah.
Like, you know that you're going, but here I felt like I was with the community of people, and it was just really fun. We started the day super excited. They were excited to have us, and I felt really welcomed coming. And then throughout the day, that same welcoming spirit was through every single person, not just the orientation leaders, but like the staff and the faculty that we got to meet. And we also got to register for classes during that same time. So it was finally feeling like I'm finally enrolled, like this is where I'll be. Here are my, I'm gonna have to wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning to make sure I go to class, or those kind of things. It was an exciting time for me.
It's been a little while, so it could have changed a little bit, but I thought it was great, and I think one thing to really look out for is however they're doing it now, make sure you look up whatever kind of clubs or events or communities that you can join within KSU, because that was the biggest thing I got out. They had all the tents set up, and same thing, it was just all the people there, and it's like, oh, I'm like really at college now, like I'm kind of an adultish a little bit.
I felt like there was a lot of opportunity and possibility. Like it felt like a new chapter for me, and that was super fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's great.
Does Thrive do pre-orientation meetings? Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so one of the things, they have a couple events in the summer, and that's why we're really focused on that summer and first year. And in the summer, they have a college success and registration workshop. I wanted to make sure I had the title right. But it's kind of going into those key academic strategies to help you prepare for when you're going to classes, like study skills, or how to read a book correctly, because for a lot of the kids that kind of fit into this group, you may have been able to get through high school without putting in a lot of extra studying or time. So going back to reteach those skills, because college is a little bit different than high school. And then also you do get the time to register, and they have specific learning communities, so that way you can, again, kind of be tied into people who are going to be in the same majors as you. And you'll get to take more than 1 or 2 classes with them, so that way you can really start to build those friendships and connections.
Awesome. So can you guys talk a little bit about what the benefits of being a Thrive student is from your perspective, and maybe some perspectives of your classmates and your friends?
For sure. So Thrive, because they only accept so many students, especially in the past when the numbers were smaller. I know the program has grown tremendously, which is amazing. But for me, one of the benefits is when you tell somebody you're in Thrive, that it means something in a sense. They know that you're working hard for your academics. They know that you really care about your education. Also, the benefits of Thrive is it is set up to help you maintain hope, to make sure that you have a good GPA when you graduate, to help you try to stay on track for all 4 years. And if you do slip up like people do, you are able to have the support that you need to get back on it. So plus, like you said, you have your grad coaches who are there for you through and through. If you need help trying to figure out a class and you can't meet with your advisor right away, you can talk to this different grad coach and they can help you just the same. It's the extra support that was the biggest benefit for me, was the extra support that I felt I got from like an academic standpoint, a friendship standpoint, all around kind of thing for me.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm very much an introvert. And sometimes it shows, sometimes it doesn't. But once I joined Thrive, I wasn't really paying attention. I was just kind of doing what I was doing. And then after the first year, I really loved the program, so I kept going back to help out. And then also next thing I know, I'm like leading conferences and workshops. And I was not the type of person who liked to get in front of crowds or, public speaking, that kind of sort of thing. But because I just loved the program so much and I knew I was trying to give back, it was something that I grew comfortable with. So it definitely kind of taught confidence. And I'm sure that was Shay's plan all along. It's just not something that us as students noticed at the time. Yeah. And then also the friendships. I met my best friend that first day of orientation because we were all in this program together. We had the same classes. We lived together for a while, and we still hang out, and that's still my best friend, and I met her through Thrive. So for me, it was really much that networking and friendship piece that stood out to me.
Can you, after your freshman year, continue in Thrive, or is it just that freshman year?
No, so Thrive is once you're in Thrive all 4 years. You're never not a Thriver, even after you graduate and come back. Like she's alumni here with us, and she's still a Thriver. Your first year is the main focus because that is when people are most likely to lose hope. However, like I'm in my junior year now, and I'm still giving back just like she is. I'm in the leadership team. I'm president of the RSO that we have. You can help be an ambassador. You can help do the information. You can do a lot of different things. And I know in the upcoming year, we have a lot for our upperclassmen, a little bit more than we had in the past, because we want them to also still feel like they are still a part of Thrive. It's not just your first year.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right, we got some questions.
All right.
This one's about financial aid.
Okay.
We want to know, when will financial aid funds be available for students? And if you would like to talk about Scholarship Universe a little bit, and then how do we know if we can use those funds towards housing or books, etc.?
So if you filed your FAFSA, make sure that you're checking your AliExpress account, because that's where our financial aid office will post your reward in your student portal. They'll let you know exactly if your awards have been set for you as a student. And like I said, I would always reach out to your financial aid counselor if you have questions. Like, I did my FAFSA at this time, I'm still waiting for my reward. But they'll do that. They usually post that during the summertime, so you'll know what your reward is. Scholarship Universe, for those who don't know, that is for students who are interested in additional scholarships or outside scholarships from KSU. So we always open up our scholarships in November of the year, and then they close in March. And so Scholarship Universe is another opportunity for students to get scholarships. So Serenity, I don't know if you've actually looked online or heard of Scholarship Universe. Have you seen any emails about that?
I have gotten scholarships through the KSU scholarship portal, so I don't know if it's still open, but I was told definitely to make sure, like, hey, the money's out there. KSU is willing to help you. All you have to do is put in your information and basically put yourself out there, and KSU will find the people for you. In my first year, I received scholarship money, and I was able to put that money to my books. I know other people, when they got scholarship money, they went ahead or they got financial aid, they went ahead and put it towards their housing as well.
Yeah. And it depends on the scholarship. So you have to be mindful of what that scholarship requirements are and how you can use that scholarship money. So some scholarships are just for your tuition. Some scholarships are going to be for the eligibility to pay for your books or for housing. It really just depends on that scholarship. And for my students that are coming in for this year, just know that if you didn't do the scholarship application for your freshman year, know that you do the scholarship application every single year.
Sure.
And so it's an umbrella type situation where you do one scholarship application, and then it is reviewed and you are matched with scholarships. So that's how scholarships at KSU work. You're not doing an individual application for every single scholarship, which is nice.
Yeah.
All right, we've got some questions about credit hours, and I know Serenity and Katie, you can answer about that, but this one's specifically about how many credit hours do honor students need? And Jacinta, if you'll answer that portion, but then Serenity and Katie talk about like what a full class load feels like as well.
Right.
So the first question is, how many credit hours do honor students need?
So I'm not sure exactly how that, if you're asking about if you're transferring in for credit hours, or if you're just asking, how many honors hours can you take? So that really just depends as a student. I would encourage you to talk to our honors program. So if you've been accepted to honors, I would reach out to Casey Waldsmith. She is a wonderful person, and she works with our honors program. So if you do honors.kennesaw.edu, you can always reach out to them specifically about how many honors classes can you take. I believe you can take at least, you want to take at least one honors class, but they can go into specifics of how many credit hours do you need as a honor student to either be full-time or part-time as a student there. Yeah.
Katie, you can answer about, because you graduated early, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of by accident, but that's just my kind of personality, I guess. So I was always a full-time student, which is 12 credit hours, which is 4?
It is 4 classes.
Yeah, 4
Okay,
classes.
sorry, grad
About
school's a
give or
little
take.
different, so I had to.
Yeah.
So I always took 5 classes, which is 4 to 5 is about the average for full-time. And I was working, so I had a pretty full load, but I always tell students it really just, whatever you are motivated to do is what you're gonna do. Because some students come with different motivations to why they're here in college, and it's not always the academic reasons. And it kind of shows in their grades. Whereas, like, I knew I needed to work and I knew I needed to go to school, and that's what I did. So it was a little overwhelming sometimes, especially like midterms or finals when everything was kind of all due at once. But I think it's manageable as long as that's your goal.
Oh, yeah, for me at least, I know every single semester I've been here, I've taken 5 classes, and I've also taken summer classes.
Overachiever. No, I'm just kidding.
So for me, it was really that time management, which that's another thing. Thrive in these workshops, they took the time to give us these resources, like, hey, make sure that you're taking out the study. Make sure that even though we know you want to have fun, you know you want to go out and be with your friends, but make sure that you put this first, or manage your time, like do this, go out, come back, make sure you get this done. So yeah, for me, I've always taken a full credit load. It does get hard, but when you put your mind to it, it's done. It's easily done. It's not the easiest. It's not for the faint of heart, for sure, but it can be done easily.
And most students are going to take a full load. Most
Yeah.
students are going to take 4 to 5 classes, or when you talk about it on the college side, you're taking 12 to
15
or even some students who are maybe art majors, you might take 16 or 18 credit hours. Just really depends on you as a student and the major that you're in, of how many credit hours you really need to take so that you're staying on track as a student, but also remembering that time management, especially if you are a student like me, or like, hey, you have to work as well as go to class. So it's really trying to balance those outside factors as
Yeah,
well as your schoolwork and doing it well, which can sometimes be hard. And I think that's probably, like you said, what Thrive does, is to kind of help you with navigating those waters of.
Which I feel like that's where Thrive really came in, because like you said, your first year, you're trying to take a full course load while still being social. A lot of people, they still have to work. They may have 12, they may have 16, they may have to take a lab also with this, and it becomes overwhelming, and a lot of people, that's why their GPA tends to drop trying to do everything at once, and that's where Thrive comes in with that support to make sure, like, hey, are you doing well? Do you need help with this? Do you want to get in contact with your teacher? How can we help you to make sure that you're staying on track? Not just because you're falling behind and trying to play catch up.
Right, that's good.
All right. Okay, so we're going to change gears a little bit.
Yeah.
I am interested in transferring to Kennesaw. Do I have a person I can contact, or that is specific to my population, and what do I need to transfer?
So we have an awesome transfer team. Shout out to everyone, Nicole and Anna and Natasha and Callie, all of these wonderful people who are on our transfer team in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. So you can always email transfer@kennesaw.edu, and that will go to our transfer team. They can answer those specific questions. But as a full transfer student, that was who I was as a student, you need to have 30 or more transferable semester hours. And when we say transfer hours, that means that the courses that you took at your previous institution are going to translate over to a KSU class. So if you took English 1101, you want to make sure that English 1101 is going to transfer. If you took a business class, which I was at another institution, I was a business major there and then transferred to KSU, I needed to make sure that I took the correct accounting. So I took accounting 2100, and that transferred over to KSU's accounting 2100 for me to get into the business school here at KSU. So make sure that you have 30 completed transfer semester hours with a college GPA of a 2.0 or higher. And my encouragement to you as a student, especially if you're transferring and you're transferring into some of our more popular majors, our more competitive majors like nursing, business, education, for me, I had to have a specific GPA to get into the business school. So a 2.0, I always say, gets you through the door, but you want to make sure that you have a stronger GPA because you don't want to get off track as a transfer student. You don't want to have to repeat classes once you transfer. So make sure you have a really strong GPA when you become a transfer student at KSU.
That's fantastic. And next week we're going to have Transfer on and for their own Facebook Live. So
Yes.
definitely, Sam, tune in for that. And Nicole's here answering all of your questions.
Yes, Nicole's the best.
She is the best. Okay, for Serenity and Katie, I know you both lived on campus and one of you was an RA. If you could talk about your living experience, where you lived, all the exciting things that people would need to know right before they move in, so like this summertime. And then Jacinta, if you'll follow up about the live-on requirement that KSU has.
Yeah.
So I lived in both University Village and KSU Place. I was also an RA for 2 years, so I've seen a couple different sides of housing. I strongly suggest, if you can afford it, to live on campus at least your first year. That is the fastest way to get connected because you're constantly surrounded by the school. And you kind of get all the opportunities to really be involved in whatever housing events are going on. You can still attend if you don't live on campus, it just might be harder to hear about them. Whereas, again, if you're living on campus, you're just constantly surrounded by it. You hear about events going on. You have people just inviting you to hang out. So I always thought it was super beneficial. And when I was here, you know, each living community that you can be in has their own strengths. So I don't think there's any bad place to live. Sometimes KSU Place didn't always have a lot of great things said about it, but I loved it there. And again, I think it's just a really great opportunity if you can do that.
For me, I stayed in University Village and I loved it. I met my close group of friends now. We all stayed in University Village. They weren't necessarily my roommates, but one of them literally lived down the hall. So for me, same thing like Katie said, it's easiest way to get connected. I 110%, if you can, stay on campus your first year. It's so much easier. Everything that goes on campus is literally walking distance for you. You get way more acquainted with the campus this way. You can meet your friends, for sure. I know we used to have family dinners in my room. My roommates were the best. We got along really easily. We made sure we got in contact with each other beforehand. We coordinated to see like, okay, I'm gonna bring cups, spoons, I'm gonna bring the pots and pans, depending on where you live. I'm gonna bring the vacuum for the common area. Do you wanna do this? Do we wanna decorate together? I know UVS is a little different because they don't have, not every one of them has a kitchen, a full kitchen at least, like UV does. But so yeah, I would definitely make sure that you're looking at your housing portal to see who your roommates are. And if you can, find them on social media. That's how I got in contact with my roommates. I found them on Facebook and we made a group chat from there and just was like, this is what we want. This is the type of housing living experience we want. What can you bring? What can I bring? Do we want to coordinate together? I know my roommates, all our rooms ended up matching on accident. Like all of us had like gray and then we added another color. So like mine was gray and yellow, one was gray and blue, another one had gray and pink, and the other one was like gray and another color. But like it happened through contacting my roommates, and it's also getting to know each other beforehand so you know what you're going into.
That's fantastic. I do have a follow-up question, but I just feel Serenity's KSU spirit because your colors were gray and gold. So, Katie, I have a follow-up question about living learning communities. And Serenity, if you live in one, you can also speak as well. But can you tell me, if I'm accepted to a living learning community, does that also mean I'm taking classes with the people I'm living with?
So I can talk specifically to Thrive because that's their setup. I would assume it might be the same for others, but I'm not going to speak for them just in case it's not. So for Thrive, you have your learning communities and then your living learning community. That's all tied together. There is housing for Thrive. It's optional. You don't have to do it. So again, that may be different for other groups. But in that area that they have rooms and beds set aside that's going to be all Thrive students. So that's kind of the nice part of living in a living learning community, because not only you're taking classes with them, but you're also going to be living with some of the same students. And then the learning community are specific classes that are paired together that you would take with the same people. So for me, my freshman year, I had a PE class and like an introductory KSU class where I had the same students in both classes. And I think if you can get into any kind of learning community, that's amazing, because that meant I had 2 out of my 5 classes where I knew the students were going to be the same. And with Thrive, I already met them that summer, so they weren't complete strangers. And then I'd get to go to my building and see them in the hallways too. So again, more of that connecting and getting to know who you're living with.
Perfect. Where do students, if they're a part of a Thrive learning community, living learning community, where do they actually stay?
So for next year, it's going to be in the University Village 1000 building.
I lived.
I think it's the top floor, and also depending on situations, it could change around, but for right now, that's what I've been told. Again, Shay has all the answers, and Thrive in general, so if you have any questions, you can email them. But that's where it is right now, and it's on the housing portal, but you have to be accepted into Thrive first before you apply, and there is a wait list currently. So just, seeing what happens.
Yeah.
And just so you know, people are given housing off of the wait list all the time. So don't get your hopes, down if you on the wait list. I know that they placed like 150 people this week, so we'll see what is next to come. Yeah. But Jacinda, will you follow up about the live-on requirement for KSU?
So Kennesaw, it's a little different depending on the campus that you live on. On the Kennesaw campus, we don't have a live-on requirement. And basically what that means is you are not required to live on campus your first year as a student at Kennesaw State. Now, our Marietta campus does have a live-on requirement, and that is because once we consolidated with Southern Polytechnic back in 2016, they did have a live-on requirement. And kind of like what Katie was saying is, it really is important, if you can live on campus, to live on campus. It gives you the opportunity to meet new people. It gives you the opportunity to get involved a little bit easier as a student. Not saying that you can't do it as a student that is not living on campus, but if you are a resident of that particular campus, it's just beneficial for you so that you're involved as much as possible. So the Kennesaw campus here up in Kennesaw does not have a live-on requirement, but our Marietta campus for KSU still has a freshman live-on requirement. And you can always talk to our housing facility if for some reason this is absolutely not a possibility for you to live on campus your first year. Definitely talk to housing, but it is a requirement for our Marietta campus. Now, Serenity, were you a part of a learning community when you were a freshman, or?
Oh yeah, I was a part of a learning community. I wasn't part of a living learning community, but so for me, just like Katie, I had 2 classes throughout the week, one every single day I had with the same exact people every single day. And luckily for me, I had met them at orientation. We had become friends right away. So when we came to campus, because I don't think at the time we realized what a learning community was, that, hey, like the next day we were like, hey, I've seen you before. Like we didn't realize like, oh, these are the classes that we'll have together. Yeah. But it was good to have a friend going in. It wasn't like I had to figure out like, hey, can you help me? Like I know a lot of times at the beginning of classes, professors will make sure like you have a buddy or make sure you exchange numbers with somebody. But because I was in Thrive and in a learning community, I already had that networking, I guess, and it was a great experience for me. I think I had American Government and I had my introductory KSU class with the same people. So I was with the same people every single day for my first semester, and it was so much fun.
That's awesome. I think it's important to have, even if you're not a part of the learning community, but making sure that you have a group of people that you know that you can be with when it comes to classes. I did that even as a upper level business major. A lot of us took a lot of the same classes, so we had that built-in community of people to bounce ideas off of or ask questions when it came to our major. So yeah, that's awesome.
All right, Jacinta, We got a question about freshmen coming in.
Okay.
So what all do I need to submit I want to be a freshman, so I'm a high school student applying to Kennesaw. And after I submit those things, can I immediately sign up for orientation, or does something need to happen before then?
So as a student that is applying to KSU, obviously you had to have your application in by Monday, June 1st, but if you're still waiting to submit documentation, you'll need to submit your high school transcript, and then if you were dual enrolled at any time, submit the college transcript from where you were recently dual enrolled. This year, because it was very different due to COVID-19, we don't require SAT or ACT scores for admission, so we're really basing it off of our admission GPA. So once we have the application and your documents, we will then put your application into review. After your application has been reviewed, you will receive an admissions decision. If that admissions decision is an acceptance, then you are able to then sign up for orientation, but you can't sign up before you have a decision for KSU. And typically right now we're probably averaging about a 1 to 2 week turnaround time. It may be even faster than that, but that's usually what our turnaround time to make an admissions decision is.
Fantastic. Okay, this is a quick answer.
Yeah.
Immunizations, where can I submit those?
You can submit your immunizations to the registrar's office. So if you go to immunizations.kennesaw.edu, it'll tell you more about what immunizations that we're looking for the institution, and also where you can submit them, how you can email them, so you don't have to come up to campus. You can actually email your immunization records to us, but that'll all go to the registrar's office.
Great. Okay, Serenity, you're going to know this one.
Okay.
What is your Talon 1 card, and what is AliExpress, and what do those two things do?
Okay, so your Talon 1 card you need to have with you at all times.
It's been ingrained in her.
Like, do not have your Talon card. Your Talon card is how you get access to pretty much everything on campus. I know moving in, if you're living on campus, keep your Talon 1 card with you. It's how you get into your buildings. It's how you get into your room. You cannot go anywhere in housing without your Talon 1 card. I learned that the hard way.
I was going to say, did you lock yourself out of the building?
Moving day, I was like, oh, I'm just going to run to the car real quick. Left it upstairs in the room, and I was like knocking on the door like, I can't get back in. So make sure that you have your Talon card. Your Talon card is also how you can get into the Commons, which is our CAF here on campus. And you can also add K-Cash, which is just regular money that you can go to different eating places on campus. You get your swipes on there, you get your dining dollars on there. So we have a Chick-fil-A on campus, we have a Panda Express on campus, we have the market, we have 2 different Starbucks, we have different eat-in places on campus. Owl Express is basically your holy grail. It's where everything is. Owl Express is where you find your registration. It's where you find your financial aid. It's where you can look at your transcript. It's where you can look at your degree works to keep track of everything, see all your requirements for every single thing that you'll need to graduate here at Kennesaw State University. So both of those 2 things, my Owl Express is bookmarked on my laptop. It's the first thing that I did between that and D2L. And my Talon 1 card, I keep with me all the time. It's in my purse. That's your student ID too. So if you go somewhere, if you show your Talon card, some places around Kennesaw will give you a student discount because you have your Talon 1 card. So that is also something to keep really near to you.
Bojangles, you can use your student ID card
Oh, yeah.
there, or just your work
I
ID
say the
card there.
movies, there's different shopping places that'll do it for you. Just go ahead and be like, hey, by the way, do you do a student discount? And they'll either tell you they do or they don't, and it's usually like 10% off.
I'm glad you told me that about Bojangles, because today would be Fried Chicken Thursdays if
Yes.
Stingers and the Commons were open, but we can go there afterwards.
But we can go.
I was so blessed. I had
it.
my orientation day on Fried Chicken Thursday.
Oh.
It was so good.
Gotta love it. Got to love it. Can't
Yeah.
wait. for that
Katie,
to
I
open
have a
back up.
question, and you're in grad school currently.
I just graduated from grad school,
Yay!
but yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is, from your opinion, I'm a student coming into Kennesaw. What kind of computer do I need? And is there anything else I need to get to be successful in my first year?
Well, okay, so in grad school, my laptop broke and I had a desktop for a while. So I actually do have little experience. But I think You know, even if you don't have a computer, there's the computer lab in the library. So you have multiple options depending on your situation. If you're someone who likes to type notes, then a laptop might be more helpful. For me, I was able to stay on not go back to the dorms, but stay on the main campus and do work in between classes. So that's kind of like the pros of a laptop. Specific type, that's past my knowledge of anything. So that would be like a Best Buy question, I guess. Somewhere not me. And then, like I said, I used a desktop, so I mean, that works too. And then again, on campus, if you can't get your own, there are options, so you won't be left without any kind of online device. If it's gonna be online classes, then you probably do wanna invest in something just so you can access everything.
And I would say if you, as a KSU student, you can go into our bookstore, and we have a place that sells a lot of Apple products. So if you want to buy a laptop, there's usually a discount for you with that. So that's always a great opportunity for you as a student. If you're looking to maybe upgrade, or if you're an Apple user, or you just have questions about, you know, different laptops, that's always an option.
And I think Best Buy has sales going on like around the summer for students. So
I
it's
just
a
had
good
to buy a
time
new one.
to buy.
Mine broke.
And we also have a department called UITS.
Yes.
Jacinta, you want to talk a little bit about
Yes, so our UITS department is there to help students with those online issues if you have questions about, you know, your laptop. If you need to learn Excel, like there's all sorts of things a student and employees can use with our UITS department. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Did either of you move off campus after a year or two?
I did. I do now currently.
Can you talk about that experience and how commuting works and the Big Owl bus?
So for me, I stayed on campus my first year, and then during the summer, I commuted to Kennesaw State to take my summer classes. And boy, did I miss being on campus. It was so much easier. I know now I stay in Sova's housing complex, which is up the street from campus. It's literally less than a 5-minute drive. But they also do cater the Big Owl bus through those housing complexes around campus, those specific ones. I know, so where I live, we can get on the bus. There's a couple different buses that run different routes. The ones that come to the KSU Center, there's ones that game days, they go to the football field. They go, and you can literally go on campus. There's different places that'll pick you up. You can have one by the Arc. There's one right in front of the Commons. There's different stops on campus, and basically you look for your bus, the one that fits wherever you're going, whether it's Busby Drive, whether it is the town center one, and you just get on the bus and it'll take you where you need to go, get off, and get right back on.
There's an app for that.
Oh, yeah, there is an app for that.
It's called Transit or something.
Translock. And
Or
it's
like the
color
Rider
coded.
app.
Yeah, make sure that you read where the bus is going, because
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't
'cause you'll
want
be on the
to
same
end up
bus.
going someplace that.
Marietta campus bus will take you to Marietta. It will not take you up the street to your housing complex.
So pay attention to that.
Jacinta, we rode Bob, the Big Owl bus,
Yes.
to the football game at the then SunTrust Stadium, now Truist Park,
Yes.
for the football game, which was
Yes, we went into a 5 overtime for that game, which is still my favorite game, my favorite football game
there.
of
It was
all
crazy.
times. Were you there?
I was there. The student section was amazing.
Oh, so good.
Like going back and forth with the other school, the energy in the stadium was crazy.
Yes.
It was, and then going back was even more wild. Like getting on the bus and just the energy, you could feel the KSU spirit like there. Like you were going for the home team, and we knew we could win that game, 100%.
Confidence. I like Serenity. The confidence that you have is great. Can you talk a little bit about athletics for you, just as a student, like experienced athletics and what that looks like for the entire college experience for you?
So for me, I have friends who are on different teams. So one of my friends, Tiandra, she is a Thrive student. We met in Thrive, and she's also on the track team. And our track team is amazing. They are phenomenal. Make sure that you go check them out. Our football team is amazing. Every single game that I've been to, we have not just only won, we have dominated. Game day is insane.
Dominated.
No, but I mean, it is what it is.
I
If you
love
go
it.
check, when you're beating teams by a ridiculous amount, you can't even call it winning anymore.
I'm sitting with Serenity at the next
I
game.
know. Serenity, please let us come to the student section and hang out with you. Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is, and like the energy around game day is crazy. Like sometimes games are super early and people are still tailgating. I know my parents have came to a couple games because they've just heard how great our program is. Going to the football field and going to your first football game is an experience. I would go with a group of friends, like make a day out of it. Homecoming is always so much fun. The tailgating beforehand, that sense of community again that KSU has, not just like being undergrad, being alumni, like getting to see my friends who have already graduated and came back just to go to the football games, to go to the basketball games in when it's cold. Like a lot of times we were already on campus for events, so right afterwards we were like, let's go ahead and go to the convocation center and see the girls and boys kill it out there too. So much fun.
So we're going to all athletic events with Serenity.
Oh yeah,
because she's
definitely
fun.
support.
Yes, love it. Before we got a little bit time left, can you, both of you, kind of talk about your major and then also talk about the internship opportunities that you've had or will have hopefully in the future?
You can start.
So I actually came in undecided just because I hadn't figured out my life yet. Big fan of that route because I feel like you don't rush yourself into anything and then have to backtrack later.
Yeah.
But along the way found out that I really like psychology. And that's what I graduated with, and I had a minor in religious studies, so I was very much in social science area. But there was a lot of different options for, I guess every major had the option for internship, and that's what originally I was going for. But I realized I wanted to be a school counselor, which you can't intern for unless you're in grad school. So that's kind of the reason why I graduated early, is I had to quickly change my plans and not do that anymore. But I did the whole capstone experience, which I think for what I needed was really beneficial. But like I said, there's definitely opportunities for it, and they're pretty open. When I was going my original route with internship, they're like, you go find what fits what you need, bring it back to us, and we'll let you know what we might need to tweak in order to make it fit. So had I gone that route, I think that would have been perfect because they were allowing me to find my own experience rather than just assign me one.
Yeah, that's nice.
Like I said before when we first introduced us, I am an English major with a minor in professional writing. So my career goal is to go into publishing and editing. I know that the English department does have an internship class that you can sign up for. It's a higher level class, so you can't really do it when you first come, but after that's what you've decided that you want to do and you've unlocked your upper level courses, it is definitely an option. I have looked into it myself, and the woman I can't think of her name right now, but the woman that's over is super helpful. She works with you. She'll try to help you get an internship if you don't already have one. If you have one, go ahead and go to her. That way you can get academic credit for already starting your career. I've had other internships in the past. I've worked with the Douglas County government under the commissioner's office. I've also worked in the law department of WSA in Douglas County, which is the water and sewer department there. And being a KSU student and the resources like the career and planning services that are here on campus have helped with that a lot. They help with your resume, they help you work with your cover letter, basically helping you prepare for those kind of interviews and stuff. So KSU has the resources to help you. They'll even help you we have career fairs here a lot to where we can meet different businesses that'll help you and take you on after you graduate, or even going between your junior, senior, freshman, whenever you have the requirements, basically.
And we're still doing those virtually. So if you are a KSU current student now, so Serenity, we have a virtual career fairs for our students. So that's always a good opportunity.
Virtual career fairs next week.
It's
next month, July 7th. Sorry.
July 7th, perfect. Now, we're about to close out, but I just wanted to get one piece of advice from each of you for students who are interested in Thrive, and just advice for being a college student coming in as a freshman. It's a lot in such a short time, sorry.
You're good. So if you're interested in Thrive, even though the deadline is August 1st, a lot of the benefits happen during the summer, so apply sooner than later. For a general student, it's okay to have fun, but just don't get too caught up in the fun. Make sure you know you're here for college, so focus on some of that too. So just finding that balance and that time management like we talked about.
Awesome.
So my advice for Thrive, kind of similar to Kate, go ahead and apply. It's something that you want to be a part of. It's not anything that it can't do anything but help you. The whole point of the program is to benefit you. There is no bad end to it. It's giving you that support that you need. As far as just a general student, I would say stick to your studies and get a group of friends who are doing the same thing. Make sure that your friends are on the same goal, has the same goal that you have, because it's hard to have friends who want to go out all the time and you want to be the friend that's like, hey, I still need to stay in and study. When your group of friends has the same mindset as you, it makes your college experience that much easier.
That's awesome. Good advice. Thank you guys so much. We always sign off with a big hootie hoo. So as we sign off, we're going to say hootie hoo together.
Okay.
All right. Hootie hoo, guys.
Hootie hoo, guys.